I'm Diane Robinson from Eagle Eye Bookshop in Decatur, Georgia, and I'm here with Margot Harrison, who has written a book titled The Killer in Me, and it's an Indies Introduced book, and we're so happy that she's able to be here today to share with us.
And I'm so honored to be here.
Oh, thank you. So, I've been dying to ask you. This book, I think, is one of the greatest thriller books I've ever read. And I just wondered, how did you decide to make it a YA book instead of an adult book? Because it easily could have been.
Oh, wow. That is a good question. I had been writing YA, so I was sort of in that mindset. But I think when I originally had the idea, I knew that I wanted the heroine to be a teenage girl. And I think that is partly because teenagers, especially girls, feel so vulnerable in the world a lot of the time. People tell them, watch out, you might be the prey of various people, there are predators out there. And so she kind of has this fear. But at the same time, she's linked to this predator who's strong and dangerous, who's killing people. And so she kind of has this double mindset of prey and predator at the same time. And she has to learn how to become stronger. So that was really important for me, that she starts out feeling very vulnerable.
Yeah, well, I think she's a very cool character.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I just personally thought that it worked very well as YA. And I think it's very important to have those kind of books for YA because, teenagers like to read about mysteries and psychological thrillers too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always loved Lois Duncan, and I was sort of hoping it would be, in the spirit of her books. It's so sad that she passed recently. But she was, when I was a teenager, I just loved staying up late with a scary book that also had some psychological realism to it.
Yeah. Well, I thought the absence of all the awful vulgar language that you sometimes get in adult books and the absence of just gratuitous sex, I thought those were very good for the book. So thank you for that.
Well, there was no real call for those. So
no, I agree. But how did you come up with the idea for this book?
The idea actually came from something that happened very close to where I live 5 years ago. Two people just disappeared from their home one night. It was a couple. And we didn't find out for more than a year what had actually happened to them. And it was a serial killer who had come all the way from Alaska to Vermont, where I live, and chosen them randomly. And we didn't realize that until he was arrested in his home state for another murder that he had committed and started talking about what he had done. So it was just a totally bizarre case. This is not the kind of, when you think of serial killers, you think of them staying in one place and, choosing a particular type of victim. That's sort of what you see on TV. Mm-hmm. But just the fact that it was so random, and that kind of made me think, what if you were the only witness to a crime like that? How could you ever convince other people that it happened? Because it's just so bizarre. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where my character came from.
Wow, so it was really based on a real event. I never would have dreamed that.
Not based that closely, but some of the details.
Inspiration.
Yeah, and it is something that people still talk about where I live. It wasn't really nationally reported that much, but it definitely had an impact.
Well, do you think you're going to continue to write in this genre?
I'd like to. I sort of have a broad definition of thriller. I've written sort of sci-fi thrillers in the past too, and that's something I'm interested in. But I love mysteries. I love the unreliable narrator, and when you can't be sure whether the narrator really knows what's going on. So I think I definitely want to continue in that vein.
What about a sequel to this book?
That is hard to imagine, actually.
Well, what happens,
Right.
afterward? And does she keep her powers?
Good question. Yeah.
Does she use them for good?
Right. Right. I wonder. Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine because I feel like that link that she has with that one person, it's well, without spoiling things, it's like it's over by the end. So I'm not sure how it could continue, but I'd love to like write about characters who are similar, who have sort of powers that they can't tell anyone about, and see things that other people don't see.
Well, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking about the Market.
Oh, thank you.